This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for Thursday, August 1st. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the Federal Reserve cuts its interest rate, saying it wants to keep the economy growing. How will their move affect consumer loans? The Democratic presidential candidates go after each other in their second debate, and President Trump on issues from immigration to health care. The Trump administration has not reached a trade deal with China yet, and we're going to hear from one top expert who says China has bigger goals in mind than just winning a trade war. And moving to Israel, we're going to show you how Jews from around the world are traveling to the Holy Land to make their homes there in a move some call a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. We have all those stories and much more in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We want to begin this hour with the Federal Reserve cutting, as expected, its key interest rate Wednesday for the first time since 2008. Fed Chairman Jay Powell said the central bank was working to keep the economy strong.
All of these objectives will support achievement of our overarching goal to sustain the expansion with a strong job market and inflation close to our objective for the benefit of the American people.
Although the U.S. economy appears to be doing well, Powell said the Fed is worried about weaker economies overseas and President Trump's trade battles. The president tweeted his disappointment. The Fed didn't say it was going to cut interest rates more. And the stock market also fell sharply because investors weren't sure about more rate cuts. The Fed's rate cut will likely have a limited impact on consumers, eventually leading to a slightly lower rate on credit cards, home equity loans, and mortgages. But those could lower if the Fed cuts rates again in the future. The economy is likely to be one of President Trump's major positive issues in next year's election, and it was one of the topics last night in the second night in round two of the Democratic debates, along with immigration, health care, and more. Jenna Browder is on the story.
Night two of the Detroit Democratic debate delivered on substance, and as expected, there were quite a few brawls. Former Vice President Joe Biden with this memorable line before the debate even started. But no one went easy on him. Senator Kamala Harris threw some of the first familiar punches, challenging him on issues like race and busing in his long career.
The vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time.
Biden shot right back, pointing out how he was vetted by former President Obama.
Barack Obama knew exactly who I was. He had 10 lawyers do a background check on everything about me on civil rights and civil liberties, and he chose me, and he said it was the best decision.
And Biden came out strong against Harris for going back and forth on her health care plan.
You can't beat President Trump with double talk.
Other candidates got a piece of the action, too. Senator Cory Booker went after Biden on criminal justice reform.
Since the 1970s, every crime bill, major and minor, has had his name on it.
You had a police department you went out and you hired Rudy Giuliani's guy. You engaged in stop and frisk.
Mr. Vice President, there's a saying in my community, you're dipping into the Kool-Aid and you don't even know the flavor.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard took a shot at Harris, a former prosecutor, on the same topic.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people.
Candidates also clashed over immigration, with Biden defending the policies of the Obama administration and saying people who came here illegally should be sent back. Congressman Julian Castro.
It looks like one of us has learned the lessons of the past and one of us hasn't. What we need are politicians that actually have some guts on this issue.
I have guts enough to say his plan doesn't make sense.
And no surprise, President Trump took some knocks, too.
We can no longer allow a white nationalist to be in the White House.
First thing that I'm going to do when I'm president is I'm going to Clorox the Oval Office.
The next debate is in September in Houston, but likely only about half of these candidates will make the cut. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Immigration is the top issue right now. That is according to last week's Gallup poll. And a new government report estimates 1.1 million people will try to cross the southern border by the end of the federal fiscal year on September 30th. The Washington Examiner reports Senate Homeland Security Chairman Ron Johnson made the forecast in a committee hearing Tuesday. With immigration such a huge political issue and lawmakers debating how to address the growing humanitarian crisis on the southern border, many of them are leaving Washington to see the situation firsthand. CBN's Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson spoke to Senator James Lankford about his recent trip to the facilities in McAllen, Texas.
One priority for Senator James Lankford is to clear up misconceptions about Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. While his Democrat colleagues want to defund ICE, Lankford argues it is the force best equipped and designed to handle the people at the heart of this situation.
Until we can get our folks to agree that ICE needs to be funded as well, we'll continue to have people in overcrowded facilities.
Lankford highlighted this point while questioning the acting commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol.
My simple question to you is, are your facilities designed and set up to hold thousands of people? Is that the mission of Customs and Border Patrol?
Absolutely not, Senator. So we've stated that again and again and again.
So I'm a little frustrated that our conversation seems to be, what can we do to help Customs and Border Patrol be better at detaining people, when that's not even the mission of Customs and Border Patrol?
When you just outlined the answer is we fund ICE. We asked for $200 million to supplement it. It was denied. And then we question why we are overcrowded.
Lankford visited 5 facilities around McAllen, Texas, where 40% of the illegal crossings take place.
In that one small area of the border, they have 1,500 to 2,000 people every single day that illegally cross the border at that point.
He believes the solution is obvious. Get additional money for ICE. Change asylum laws so people who legitimately qualify can actually get it in a timely manner. And fix the Flores Agreement.
This Flores Agreement was done years ago, but it says if you travel with a child or you are a child, and that is 17 years old or younger, then you can only be in detention a total of 20 days, and then you get released in the country.
Lankford claims drug cartels are exploiting this law.
50% of the men crossing the border now have a child with them.
That number 5 years ago was just 1%, and he adds 20 days is not enough time to get information on who is coming into the country.
Border Patrol told me just recently they released someone that they later found out had a murder warrant back in their home country. They released a different person that was a pedophile from their home country.
And when asked about conditions at the facilities,
and all 5 of those facilities, I could see diapers and hygiene products, toothbrushes, snacks, water, changes of clothes.
Lankford also admitted some stations are very overcrowded, particularly those holding single men.
The Border Patrol will be the first to be able to tell you, we don't want to have this many people, but if additional funding is not given to ICE, they literally have nowhere to put those individuals.
Lankford claims many Border Patrol agents are giving their own money to help the problem.
There are lots of stories of Border Patrol agents going above and beyond and doing what they can to be able to take care of people. And it's very hard for them to be able to see some of the news, to see if one bad thing happens, all the news says that's the way all Border Patrol agents are, and it's just not.
Lankford tells me the truth is there are hygiene products, but the facilities are overcrowded. And he believes until there is proper funding for ICE, the issues will continue. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
The White House says it is monitoring the massing of Chinese troops on Hong Kong's border. There are fears Beijing is about to use military force to stamp out the continuing protest movement in Hong Kong. Adele Hurd is following this story for us.
The protests against China and Hong Kong's governor have not stopped. And now there is concern the Chinese government may be about to intervene militarily. An unnamed White House official says units of the Chinese military or armed police have gathered at the border with Hong Kong. The official stressed that the nature of the buildup was not clear. Some have suggested it could simply be a large-scale swearing in of police recruits. But across the border, Hong Kong police are being worn down from almost daily combat with protesters. And today, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said, if the White House really cares about a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Hong Kong, it should admonish the violent and radical protesters to express their demands through peaceful means instead of violence. She also said she was not aware of a situation on the China-Hong Kong border, but China has long said the protests in Hong Kong are a creation of the U.S. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
I want to turn now to health news. We know a healthy diet is already a key to managing diseases like diabetes and hypertension, but new research suggests it could help to treat cancer. In a new study published by the journal Nature, researchers found restricting intake of an amino acid found in red meat and eggs significantly enhanced cancer treatment in mice by reducing tumor growth. Agency France Presse reports independent experts warn research is far from being tested, though, in humans. Coming up, despite more talks, no trade deals as of now between the U.S. and China. But one top China analyst tells CBN News Chinese President Xi Jinping is looking for more than just a strong position in international trade. He says Xi has bigger goals in mind for his country. We're going to hear what he has to say when we come back. Stay with us.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern Gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
A Millsburg Falls man coming.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
Any possible trade deal between the United States and China will now have to wait at least until September. That's when the next round of talks is scheduled to resume after negotiators failed to reach an agreement this week in Shanghai. Negotiators from both sides described the talks as constructive, but China analysts say Beijing is taking it slow, hoping a delay will result in a more favorable agreement for the communist government. Appearing on this week's episode of CBN News' program, The Global Lane, China expert and author Gordon Chang says Chinese President Xi Jinping is after more than just dominance in trade.
President Trump, especially in his 2017 and 2018 General Assembly speeches at the UN, dwelled on sovereignty. And when I heard that, I thought that was really out of place. The issue of sovereignty was settled in 1648 at the Treaty of Westphalia. I was thinking, what the devil is Trump talking about? Well, sovereignty is important because Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, has for more than a decade, but especially in recent years, been dropping hints that China is the world's only sovereign state. He's been going back to that notion of Tianxia, or all under heaven, that Chinese emperors ruled all under heaven. And so therefore, there's really a challenge, not just to the United States, but really to the entire international system. So that's how Xi Jinping got me to believe that actually President Trump's words on sovereignty are a very important message for today's international system.
Well, how would that view then of sovereignty affect the United States and the future of the world?
Well, the important thing going forward right now is that we defend this international system. You know, people say, well, the United States has friction, trade friction and other friction with China because we're trying to prevent China's legitimate rise. We're trying to stay on top of the international system. Well, that's really wrong. That's Beijing's narrative. What we're doing is preserving the international system itself. And that, I believe, when you think about Trump's defense of sovereignty, it really goes to the core of the challenge with China. China right now is going back to being a revolutionary state. It's not willing to live within the current world, want other countries to be sovereign. It wants to dominate everything. And so this is really important for us as we go forward, because all of us, everybody in the world, has a stake in the outcome of this.
And the president says they've been cheating on trade for years. We'll get to that in a moment. Newt Gingrich and others have shared security concerns about tariff concessions being awarded to the Chinese company Huawei. Gingrich says if the Chinese company is allowed to dominate 5G communication, then we're all in trouble. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly. Huawei is China's paw, really. And what they've used the company already because it makes telecom equipment, networking gear. The world's largest manufacturer in that sector. They've been using Huawei gear to surreptitiously take data from others. So, for instance, between 2012 and 2017, Beijing was nightly downloading data from the headquarters of the African Union. And Speaker Gingrich is right. 5G, which is the 5th generation of wireless communications, is absolutely essential because this is the Internet of Things. Everything is going to be connected to the Internet through 5G. And China, if it has Huawei in the backbones of these countries, is going to be able to surreptitiously take this data, feed it into China's artificial intelligence systems, and therefore dominate technology in the 21st century. So this is absolutely critical.
Well, what's your message then to President Trump about that? Because obviously he's decided to play it a little lightly against that company.
Yeah, there should be no exemptions for Huawei. These are exemptions from the Commerce Department's entity list. And Huawei is currently on the list. And that means no American company can contract with Huawei, either licenses of technology or the sale of things like computer chips, without getting a prior license. And what President Trump wants to do is to give a reprieve to Huawei to allow American companies to sell. This is, I think, 100% wrong. Huawei is a national security threat. It's not a bargaining chip in trade talks, as the president has sometimes characterized it. So we need to make sure that Huawei is not able to do these things to undermine U.S. national security and the national security of our partners.
Well, there are probably other trade chips, bargaining chips. What's the main sticking point, Gordon, now in trade talks with China?
It's the enforcement mechanisms. There are so many different obstacles. And one of them, when you go to the core of it, is China's industrial policy. And this prevents U.S. and other foreign companies from competing in China. China has been engaging in increasingly predatory practices, and they violate China's World Trade Organization obligations to us and to others. But China is not willing to have enforcement mechanisms. We want to keep the tariffs on and some other things to make sure China lives up to its promises. After all, we've got decades of failed trade agreements with Beijing because the Chinese have been violating every trade deal that we've had.
And you can hear more of Gordon Chang's insights on China on the CBN News program, The Global Lane. It's on the CBN News Channel tonight at 9:30 Eastern. Still ahead, it's being called a fulfillment of biblical prophecy as Jews from around the world are immigrating to Israel this summer. We're going to hear from them as they arrive in the Holy Land right after this.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're gonna bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Thousands of Jews from around the world are expected to immigrate to Israel this summer, a move that believers say is fulfilling the words of biblical prophets. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story.
A big welcome party called Choosing Israel awaited 200 new immigrants who arrived in Israel to make the Jewish state their home.
It's so crazy, the people here waiting for us, the party, the music, the entire enjoy of this is magic.
I'm always excited when I see new immigrants coming on Aliyah to Eretz Israel, to the ancient homeland.
Yitzhak Herzog is chairman of the Jewish Agency, the quasi-governmental organization responsible for Aliyah, or immigration to Israel.
They're all here in one big event which epitomizes the great plight of the Jewish people in their return to their ancient homeland.
These are the first arrivals on special flights this summer. They came from France, Russia, and Latin America.
This year we'll have 30,000 immigrants from 40 countries. It's an incredible story.
Among the newcomers are Brazilian and Argentinian singles.
I'm an actress, so I want to try to work with that. I'm also a makeup artist, so I came with that idea.
Here, I'm going to study Hebrew in Kibbutz Magan Michael, and then I'll be in the army for a year and a half. And then, like all Israelis, I will travel, and then I'll return to study music in Jerusalem.
First, I want to really learn Hebrew, okay? So I'm going to do Ulpan, very intensive right now. Then, well, I will start searching a job as a scientist.
They came for different reasons.
When I was little, I was living here with my family for a while, like 4 months, and I fell in love with this country and the people and the culture, so I always want to come back here.
The economic situation is really great. Okay, neighborhood countries are not the best things, but I don't have to worry when I walk through the streets really here.
And I came to Israel because I'm a Zionist, I love Israel, and I'm hoping to make it my home.
Abraham Shevelin from Ohio has been here for just 1 week. He came back to the airport to welcome the newcomers.
I'm learning some Hebrew back in America. I'm good at thankfully, I'm very good at languages. I speak Chinese fluently. I plan on doing business with China and Israel. And if I can do Chinese, I can hopefully do Hebrew, right?
Many would see their arrival as the fulfillment of God's word when He said He would regather Israel and plant them in the land. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
Coming up, best-selling Christian author and filmmaker Ray Comfort is coming back to television. We'll tell you what he'll be doing when we come back.
prophecy thousands of years old,
We were called to be a light to the world.
being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
by sharing their knowledge
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
and their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Filmmaker and best-selling author Ray Comfort is making a comeback to television. Comfort will be co-hosting the Christian television show Way of the Master. During each episode, he and his other co-host will tackle some of the toughest questions about God and the Bible. The program will also feature inspiring interviews with prominent Christians such as actor Kirk Cameron, Christian speaker Ken Ham, and filmmakers the Kendrick brothers. The first episode airs this Sunday. You can find what channels and times it airs at CBNNews.com. Time now for your Thursday Thankful, and I pray you will join me in this prayer of gratitude. Father, thanks for life, health, and strength. It's a trinity that allows me to work to bring honor to you. With that word, I pray you will make this a thankful Thursday and a wonderful rest of the week. That will do it for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more on the issues you care most about at CBNNews.com. You can also watch CBN News programs anytime throughout the day on the CBN News Channel. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us right here next time. Have a thankful Thursday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye. God bless.